Now, third one is variety, means data is not coming from one source. I say video, but at the same time, there could be your mobile data, or there could be SMS, or there could be implant the production system, the sensors are there. In the business domain also, those kinds of data are there. Salesmen are, marketing persons are going, and they are also capturing many kind of data. So that means data will come from the different sources. So that's why variety. So when the data comes from different sources, there will not be a similar nature in the data complexity will be very high. Then because of different kinds of data and because it is collected at different places and because it is corrected by different system, what will happen? Uncertainty in the data will be much more, inconsistency in the data will be much more. So that is called veracity. Means data is inconsistent and data uncertain, means some kind of fuzziness is also there inside. And obviously the value, another one is value. Suppose you have collected a lot of data, but the purpose you want to basically solve, that is not solved, then the value proposition is not there in the data. So it means data quality, that also. So all those things means the value, there are different types of value. If you understand the data carefully, you find out that it is not that only one purpose it will be used. It will be used in different purposes. So you can create different kinds of value proposition out of the data. When your data is of this 5V, at least but 3V, that is volume, velocity, and variety, then what will happen? It qualifies as big data. Any one of the criteria it qualifies, it is not big data. Big data means at least the 3 of the 5 V's should be qualified, and primarily volume, velocity, and variety. Once big data is there in the with you, then you whatever you have, because analytics is heavily dependent on statistics, probability and statistics, and as well as machine learning, data mining also. In different contexts, different names are there, but these are basically overlapped. So what will happen ultimately? The traditional machine learning will not work. Why it doesn't work? First of the nature of the data characteristics itself change so much. The nature of the data is so complex. The traditional model will not be able to capture this. Second is that data cleaning is itself is a huge task because of the variety, and you will find out that the traditional way of cleaning will not work. Data storage also will require high storage system, but more so for cleaning and analysis point of view, computational power requirement is enormous. That means it's changed a lot. It is not no longer a that is computationally easy. It will become very much difficult. Then another issue is also that whatever we do, the optimized that your estimation is very, very important. Means using some analytics, and if you get some output of the model, whether the model parameters are optimized or not. So that issue is again, it is simple in the simpler model like logistic regression or other regression, parameter optimization, that is basically maximum likelihood estimation if you do it get. But when it is in this domain, data and big data analytics domain, that become very, very complex. So the traditional machine learning will not be able to cater the requirements of big data analytics. Hence, actually, the deep learning coming into a big way. So what is basically happening here? Deep learning, if you want to understand, you have to understand first the neural network. Simple neural network you have to understand. If you want to understand neural network, you have to understand linear algebra. You have to understand calculus. So linear algebra and calculus, unless you are good at it, so you will not be able to do the computational point of view, algorithm development point of view much work. But it is also true that if you don't have this at least some kind of understanding that how the deep learning is working, the insight what the or the findings what you get from deep learning models, that you will not be able to interpret. So it is not that the software will give you something and you will do it. That's why when you do some kind of deep learning work, it's a team game. Means there will be business functional people, there will be business analyst, there will be computational person also who will basically, that means the team will help you. Now, one example I'll give you, although it is little bit technical, maybe the audience is variety heterogeneous in nature. Some are maybe interested in some technical part, some maybe the application or a part of it. But one thing I just want to mention, because if I don't mention this deep learning concept point of view, actually in the linear, that means when you go for neural network, basically it's a neural network, extended neural network. So that there is the estimation point of view, there are gradient descent algorithm and some other advanced algorithms are there. One of the key issue is the gradient. Basically, when the net is large, the gradient values become low. Finally, it will vanish. So the vanishing gradient part is there. That's why the optimization part is extremely important, and the basic neural network is changed in the architecture also changed. Now then, what are those architecture at present prevalent in the literature and which are highly used? One is basically the deep neural network. Means the traditional neural network usually have one input layer, one hidden layer, and one output layer. But when you say deep neural net, means we increase the hidden layers. It is no longer one, it is more than two. So because of this, computational complexity is large. Then what happened? This is basically feed-forward neural network or a back propagation neural network with multiple hidden layers. But this cannot capture the time dependency, because it takes the data for the current observation, but what the previous observations, how that dependency is there. So the sequence it cannot capture. So as a result, what happened? Recurrent neural network, RNN, which is a recurrent neural network, that basically takes care of it can take care of the previous output, but a previous layer output it can take into consideration. Then when you go for more previous values, for example, if some of you know that time series modeling. In the time series, the series is autocorrelated. Suppose in the 10 or 10, suppose 5 lags correlation, autocorrelation is there. So that means in the sixth period prediction, you require to take care of what happened at the previous fifth period. So as a result, that sequence, that memory kind of is required, understanding that up to 5 lag behind. That is taken care of by LSTM, long short-term memory. So that means deep neural net, then RNN, then LSTM. And then another important model in the deep learning is convolutional neural network, which is primarily developed for the image data analysis, video data analytics point of view. Here it is basically the structure is different. So you have to know that your data, which kind of deep learning model is fitted. And if there are students in this in the audience, I tell all the students, this is one of the very important area for you. It is not that I'm telling that okay, this is the buzzword, you will get job. No, it has utility in the domains. In your domain, it has a lot of utility. You will get a lot of insights. So please try to understand the data science part. But you start with the linear algebra, then statistics. After that, you go to neural net, and then the deep neural nets. So now if you say that what are the application areas, you see that as I told you earlier, I am not working in the application side of the business analytics because I have chosen other area. There are less number of people there, and but someone should we should contribute in the safety, quality, reliability this area also, which is a very important area. And so you see that from the literature, I found some of the application area that the purchase prediction, business risk prediction, productivity, demand predictions, fuel forecasting. So there are many. So you also will find out your own a domain where you are comfortable. Then you try to find out data because as Deming said, we believe in God, but others must bring data. So that is the day to day. So I'll just give you how deep learning is used. One case from the literature. So for demand prediction, for business demand prediction, not business risk prediction. It is for demand prediction. The demand prediction point of view, how they have used these models, and I'm just giving the case what they have done, but it is not my work. This is the work of the reference is given. It is basically demand forecasting using deep learning. Now, if I say demand means you can think of suppose if the product from the what product you are producing, that product demand, or if you or if you talk about the telephone and other things, the calls, that demand. If you talk about bank, the customers oriented demand. So many types of demand are there. If you go to social media, you will find out another kind of demand analysis is required. So it's a very powerful and very important area, demand forecasting. For example, electricity consumption. Now the solar power is coming in a big way. Now, what will be the demand of solar power maybe after 5 years or after 10 years? Then what government will do? So those many things you have to look into. Now, this one, what actually happened? This business for different product point of view they have developed, and I'm not going into the depth of this or the details of this. So if the reference I have given you, now you just see that these are the different product groups, and they have used different kind of deep learning models, and finally a traditional model to deep learning model, and finally found out that the deep learning based strategy is giving better insights. Okay, so this is what is the nutshell. So I think I have taken around 35 minutes of time, but to me this is very important area, and you can apply in the business risk side. You can go for in the production domain when the failure of equipment or understanding what is the remaining useful life, and accordingly developing predictive analytics for maintenance. That also another area. So there huge area you can say where these deep learning techniques can be used, and you can develop strategy based on deep learning. I want to acknowledge the IIT Kharagpur and the center as well as industrial engineering department and my all research scholars and other students who are contributing in our work. And because of them, actually, I am able to present something before you. And these are the references. Please go through those references and get some more details from the net, from these data, these references, and do something good. And finally, at the end, deep learning is not easy. And if you find that your deep learning is easy for you, that is means you are not actually learning. That's why this quote for any aspects, for anywhere, this is the quote what I follow from last 40 years. I am just following this. In a day when you don't come across any problems, you can be sure that you are traveling in a wrong path. So for all my audience, beloved students and other beloved participants who are there, every day there will be problem, and you have to overcome it. Try to capture data every day also, so that the problem can be sorted out. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Professor Santanu Ray, for your support, and as well as your higher administration. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed a very informative, and thank you for saying such valuable words that will enlighten us in the near future. To this, I add that after everything, at the end, who actually stays is it's you. So here, I will have a very short and sweet acronym that is LARA. That means L for love, A for accept, A for appreciate, and R for respect. Love, accept, respect, and appreciate your own self. And then you will be there somewhere in future, standing over here and invited to this stage and rewarded for something that you do in the near future, for which this Adamas University and all of us will be really very impressive and respectful at that position.
Now, I would like to call Dr. Shantanu Roy, Dean, School of Business and Economics, for the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, it's a privilege and honor for me to present the vote of thanks in this August gathering. First, we are thankful to our Honorable Chancellor, Sir Professor Dr. Samit Ray, to shower his blessings and provide his support to organize this conference. We are thankful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir Professor Dr. Naveen Das, for guiding us through this journey. We are thankful to Professor Dr. Saikat Maitra, Honorable Vice Chancellor Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, for agreeing to be the chief guest in today's function. Unfortunately, he is not keeping well, and we would miss his presence in today's inaugural session. We are grateful to Professor Dr. Dipankar Bhattacharya, our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, and Professor Dr. Sushanta Kumar Mondal, our Honorable Dean Academics, for being always there by our side and helping us in organizing this conference. We express our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Dr. Nilanjan Shen, Dean, School of Business, State University of New York, for gracing this occasion as guest of honor. We are indeed grateful to him to accept our invitation to be with us today. We are privileged to have Professor Dr. Jhareshwar Maiti, Head Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering, my former PhD colleague and my former faculty colleague at IIT Kharagpur, for agreeing to deliver his talk as our guest of distinction. And of course, we have got a series of other eminent speakers over the next 2 days that include Dr. Anand Nair, Professor School of Computer Science, Dai Tan University in Vietnam, Dr. Muhammad Azim, Head MBA Program, University of Bolton in UAE, Dr. Sami Khan, Professor HRM, King Abdulaziz University of Saudi Arabia, Professor Sanjay Banerjee, Professor of Finance, Nottingham University Business School in UK, Dr. Shankarshan Basu, Professor Finance and Accounts, IIM Bangalore, and there are other people also who will be gracing this occasion, who include Professor Dr. A.D. Amar, my old friend and colleague, is a professor in the Department of Management, Seton Hall University of South Orange, New Jersey in USA. We have Dr. Indranil Mukhopadhyay, Senior Associate Vice President Human Resource Tata Consultancy Services in Kolkata. Professor K.J. Joseph, Director of Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation, Thiruvananthapuram. Dr. Amina Umrain, Professor, Science and HRD in Management Science and Entrepreneurship, University of Sfax and Carthage in Tunisia. Dr. Neetu Ghosh, Director, Reva School of Management Studies in Bangalore. And Dr. Ankit Pal, Head of Strategy and Government Relations India, NXP India Private Limited, Noida in India. He was my former student at IMT Ghaziabad. And not the least, our esteemed faculty colleagues at SOBE. I can't forget their effort in bringing up our HODs, Professor Ajitavo, Professor Ankit, Professor Indranil Bose, and all the faculty colleagues, Professor Pallavi, Professor Gorango. If I miss out somebody, so I'm generally not taking any more names now. And all the student volunteers, all the social media people who have helped us in bringing out the social media, these things and all. So we'd like to welcome all of you to this conference, and we'll have a wonderful time for the next 2 days. Thank you very much, and let's begin our next journey with the next session. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the second session of today's International Conference on Creativity, Innovation, Growth, and Sustainability 2023.
Good afternoon to respected dignitary and one and all present over here. Proceeding further with keynote sessions of International Conference on Creativity, Innovation, Growth, and Sustainability.
Swami Vivekananda once said, "The raindrop from the sky, if it is caught in hands, it is pure enough for drinking. If it falls in a gutter, its value drops so much that it can't be used for washing the feet. If it falls on hot surface, it perishes. If it falls on lotus, it shines like a pearl. And finally, if it falls on oyster, it becomes a pearl. The drop is same, but its existence and value depends on whom it associates with. Knowledge is a key to perfection, but if you don't know the right place to implement the knowledge, it obstructs one to have perfection. So are we here today to know the right place of application of the right knowledge to attain perfection.
On this positive note, today we have among us Dr. Anand Nair, Professor, School of Computer Science, Dui Tan University, Da Nang, Vietnam. Now, I want to invite Sir to deliver his keynote speech.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Anand Nair, and I'm working as a professor, scientist, vice chairman research, and director of IoT and Intelligent Systems Lab in School of Computer Science, Du Tan University, Da Nang, Vietnam. First of all, it's a real honor to be the part of such a prestigious conference, and I thank the management and the organizers for inviting me as a keynote speaker to this prestigious conference. And trust me, the topic of this conference is really relevant because what we are doing today in the part of industry, consultancy, research, and of course, with regard to getting the acquisitions of funds and research projects, it is all connected to mostly all the tracks that are actually happening in this conference. So, ladies and gentlemen, considering the latest technologies, we can say that they are available in lots of abundant divisions. When we talk of metaverse, when we talk of artificial intelligence, data science, of course, we can talk of software engineering, we can talk of Internet of Things, smart buildings, smart cities, and the list goes on like anything. But I would like to divert your attention towards one of the technologies which I don't think that it is going to rule the world, but whole of the world is getting involved into it. Now, if you talk of India, at one time, RBI was against of this blockchain and Bitcoins, but today we all know that blockchain and Bitcoins are actually adaptable and they are actually becoming sustainable and they are getting their place actually activated in tons of enterprises and government organizations today. Now, if I talk of Vietnam, I'm in Vietnam from last 6 years, and trust me that most of the startups that are happening in Vietnam are taking blockchain very seriously. Even some of my students who have graduated my university about 2 years back, now they've invited me about next month that I'm going there in order to speak about blockchain technology. And of course, they're working in a very strong division of their own startups to provide services to the government. So, ladies and gentlemen, today the topic will be very important for all of you. And I can say that this topic is going to change the way that how we actually expect and how we actually divert our life in the near future. So, everybody, let us start with the topic that is called the role of distributed ledger technology for beyond 5G networks. So, this is going to give a very good insight about blockchain, hyperledgers, and of course, I have related my lecture towards the future 5G networks because I'm working in this diversification areas of IoT, Intelligent Systems Lab, the blockchain, of course, the 6G communication networks. So the agenda for the lecture will be very simple, and I have taken this lecture into a very detailed manner so that all of you can understand that what exactly is the future. And if anybody is interested to start their own company after 2 years, or of course they are interested to get internship into the top multinational companies, or they even want to start their own ventures in terms of some projects, this is the area that you should focus right now. So first of all, we will be discussing that is what is blockchain and smart contracts. Second, we will be discussing in depth about the key benefits of blockchain, then the 5G and beyond. And after that, I will be telling you about some key challenges of 5G and beyond networks and what is the role of distributed ledger technology in 5G. And after that, we can see some of the deployment challenges. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you that we are all living in this world where virtual world is becoming part like Facebook and of course WhatsApp. So if you talk of the latest technology like metaverse, and of course in metaverse, this NFT tokens and blockchain are a part of that. I am working as actually into some of the good government projects into mobile communications and of course towards airport technological development. And even in Vietnam, we are having the vision that we want to make robotic process automation into inclusion of Internet of Robotic Things. And of course, we want to take face recognition on the airports. And all this can be merged, of course, with 5G and blockchain technology. So let us first of all discuss about blockchain. And I think most of you know about this blockchain because it was really controversial at few moments of time because of the loss in Bitcoins. So let me tell you what exactly is blockchain. So blockchain exactly means that all the transactions that happen in cryptocurrency, they will be logged in the form of blocks. And these blocks will be connected together in terms of a chain, which is known as blockchain. And till date, everybody, we have no idea. Till date, I would like to tell you that who is the inventor of blockchain. Till date, we have no idea. We just know it is a concept that was actually created in order to create a ledger-based information, or of course, a broad ledger in which we can completely have the organization of all the records of Bitcoin transactions or the cryptocurrency transactions that happen across the world. And even today, I would like to tell you it is the biggest hyperledger. Even the first transaction that happened by Satoshi Nakamoto when he launched the Bitcoins, it was actually being launched and it is actually being seen today in this block hyperledger. So if you talk of the next level of information transfer, the blockchain is playing a crucial role. And you can say that these days, IT firms and of course, all the firms across the world and even the energy sector, of course, you can say the autonomous vehicles, banking sector, and even in Vietnam, we are seeing a very heavy potential towards e-commerce and telecommunications. They are all working together in order to improve their productivity and investments into blockchain technology. And of course, everybody with blockchain, we can say that the task will become efficient. And we don't say that it will bring some fundamental change, but it can begin with more privacy, security, and the cost for managing all this technology will be becoming better and of course sustainable and scalable, come flexible in all terminologies. So you can see from the slide right now that blockchain market is actually very bigger. So I have collected the data for all of you with regard to from the year 2021 to 2025. So right now the industry is right now sitting at around $9.34 billion. And if I am saying, because I'm a computer scientist, we are all visionary people. So if I'm right, which I'm always right, which with the grace of God, I'm always right. So I can say that in terms of the investments by angels and of course with the top tier IT companies in the world, I expect this market can even reach $1 trillion by 2030. And of course, you can say that lots of key drivers are there. We are requesting with high compatibility in the market. And the key players, if you see that right now, Infosys is also taking lots of, you can say, initiatives in order to invest into blockchains. Of course, Amazon, Accenture, Microsoft, Apple, they are all investing. But side by side, I can say that the application areas that was very limited about 5 years back, it is now expanding like anything. Trust me, everyone, when I started the research on blockchain and when I published my first paper in 2019, then the application areas were only related to some banking and gas sector. But today, almost every sector is actually opening up their doors in order to adopt blockchain and welcome blockchain, because the security and privacy of the data that is available with blockchain technology, you will not find anywhere else. So the strategic value of blockchain, you can see that blockchain doesn't have any intermediator. So first of all, the most important thing is, like, suppose I will give you one example, that if suppose I'm Mr. X and you are Mr. Y and you want to transfer some of the money, or suppose if I want to transfer, if suppose I go to amazon.in and I want to buy a book or a computer book, or if suppose I want to buy some shawl for my mother, I have to open amazon.in, and after the cart is being added with the shawl or with my book, I have to go to that banking website, and then I have to give the payment with some OTP. And after that, the bank will be acting as an intermediary in order to transfer the money from my account to the Amazon account. But in terms of blockchain, it is not like that. So over there, if I want to make a transaction, I just need your wallet address, and I can use the complete peer-to-peer network in order to give the transaction. And we have that is called the miners that are there in order to validate those transactions. So whatever the transaction I do on blockchain, it will be automatically recorded like an immutable record. And of course, this type of things will make this blockchain as a feasible technology in order to invest, and of course, in order to integrate in the day-to-day operational affairs. So blockchain, everybody, it is actually reducing the cost. It is improving the business with transformations. I am involved with ton of the companies. I'm sorry, I cannot take the name of those companies because this is known as conflict of interest. I'm doing projects with lots of companies in Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and China. And whenever they call me that, sir, you are an expert into cyber physical systems, you are an expert into IoT, you are an expert into Industry 4.0. So how can we motivate ourselves? How can we transform our traditional manufacturing to smart manufacturing? No doubt we need technology. We need to integrate sensors, where we need to bring 3D printing, cyber security. But one thing which I would like to tell them, that to be ready, that because blockchain will be an integrated part for all of you. And trust me, they are very happy. And of course, if you talk of the feasible deployment, it was very complex about 4 to 5 years back. But nowadays, if you talk of the blockchain implementation, it takes from few hours to few days. And now me and my team is working on some customizable architecture, that how we can take the requirements of a company. Suppose a company is like a FMCG, or suppose a company is SME, or the company is like a consulting company or an education company, how we can transform that company with the blockchain integration in a matter of few hours. Because say, like at one time, if I want to make up a company infrastructure of IT, it would take me 3 to 4 days, because I have to implement the server, I have to install the softwares, licenses, then the networking, then security. But now, if a company comes to me that, sir, please can you implement some web server or some cloud computing or some email server for us? I just go to Amazon, take the requirements, configure the instance, do some changes, and I'm ready with this entire server in a matter of few minutes to a few hours. So that is the blockchain that is actually changing the face of the business technology in today's matter of times. So in terms of strategic value, you can see that almost every area in terms of agriculture, arts, automobile, insurance, manufacturing, banking, property, retail, technology, everybody is actually getting involved. And you can see that the revenue, the cost, the capital, and the investments that you are seeing, it is actually booming like anything. So don't think of one picture in which people have faced loss with the bullshit companies like Quadrica CX, where those CEOs have just gone with the death phase, but they are really alive today, and they've taken the money of thousands of millions of dollars of the people. So don't think of those exchanges. I'm thinking that how we can build up a technology and how we can integrate the system of the data and the transactions of the day-to-day lives of the business in order to make them into sustainable, feasible solution. So everybody, this is a need for the blockchain. And from 2023, like at one time, I used to say my colleagues and of course my friends and my students that gone were the days when only business was only computers and some ERP software or some like a network and with some technology. Nowadays, business are open. Businesses are opening up with technology. So you can say from 2021, we have seen transformation with regard to ecosystem of smart technology. 2022, we have seen transformation with industrial IoT. 2023, we will see blockchain and of course, robotic process automation, which is very necessary for the business to carry out their day-to-day operations. Now, everybody, I would like to tell you that when a student comes to me in my office, that, sir, we want to make a capstone project and we are ready with this website. So let me tell you, I don't approve that capstone. I don't approve that, you can say, project unless or until I'm not happy with some of the AI and blockchain capabilities in order to make some automation and, of course, give some business intelligence to the end users. And that is what you all people have to think, that if a business comes to you or if you're a business consultant, then how the intelligence and automation you can deliver, and that can improve the value in that business activities. So I've already given you the example of how you trade in a traditional banking system. So suppose if Alice is number one and I'm number two, and I want to transfer the money from here to here, we need a bank as an intermediary. But over here in blockchain, everything is instant. We can do millions of transactions in less than an hour without having any part of intermediary. So that's the reason that you must ensure that the wallet that you acquire is from assured company, and the crypto exchange that you are using is also very much reputed. The only thing is that the trust is very important in this sector. So the stocks trading, you can see everybody at one time, if I want to trade a stocks, so I have to go to some website like sharekhan.com. I know that website because when I was a student, I just told my father that I want to start my side by side because my background was commerce and statistics. After that, I made it into MCA, then MTech, then MBA, then PhD, and then to my postdoc. So I told my father that I wanted to do some stock business, and I opened Sharekhan, and I used to link my bank. And today we all know that the banking people need to have some PAN card, then you have to do some other types of activities. You have to register your business in order to do some stock trading. At one time it was easy, but now it is complex. But now with wallet exchange, everybody, you can buy the stocks with just a matter of seconds to any of the websites, and you can track their activity. And trust me that there is no reason to have any frauds there. The Bitcoin based stock trading system is very popular. And even if you see some of my papers, we have done lots of research that how we can go for the stock price prediction, and all the prediction and everything is done using artificial intelligence, smart data science, and of course the blockchain technology. So what is a blockchain? This is very important question to understand. So blockchain itself, you can say that if you're an accounting student, you must be knowing about a ledger. So ledger means if you are making any transaction, suppose if you have purchased something, you have sold something in a business, if there is some capital opening, if there is some depreciation to that asset, whatever the transactions you are happening in the business, whether it is a debit or credit or reconciliation, like you have the books of accounts. So consider blockchain as like a hyper ledger where all the records are actually being locked up. It's an open ledger, anybody can see, but it is all encrypted. So the encryption is so strong that if you want to break, but I don't say that it is a if, it is a big, big if, that you need a quantum computer. So trust me that the blockchain transactions are really cryptographically changed with each other, and they form a Merkle tree structure. And this is what you can say that the transactions are becoming better and better. So in concept of blockchain, you can see it's a peer-to-peer system in which all the transactions are happening and we need no third party in between. With just a person one, person two, and after that, it's a peer-to-peer network. You put the transaction, you just need a wallet ID and you can use the any type of cryptocurrency, whether it is a Bitcoin or you can use Ethereum or Doji Pile, any of the cryptocurrency based thing, and you can transfer the money. So it is a shared, distributed, and of course it is decentralized and an open ledger. So all the transactions you can see, but it is having no meaning because it is cryptographically secured. And of course, no need for any trusted third parties. All the thing, it is existing on the top of the layer. And trust me, all the protocols that are used for the blockchain, they are really secured. So there is no level of any type of security breach, which I have taken or I will take in the next 10 to 15 years if I'm adopting blockchain technology for industries. So this is the blockchain structure, everybody. You can see that here is the node, and this is known as a Genesis block. So if you are a person who want to implement a blockchain for a business, the block number 0, because it's like an array-based structure, so block 0 will be called a Genesis block, which is actually linked to block 1. That is the pointer to block 0. We will have the hash and of course the data, which is about the transactions. So similarly, you can keep on arranging these blocks in a chronological order, and all these blocks are linked together, and this linking of that block is called blockchain. So blockchain on its core, you can see that it is a fusion of 3 things: computer science, cryptography, and of course the game theory. So if anybody wants to ask me this question, that sir, if I want to become blockchain expert, what kind of programming languages we need to understand? So the first thing is called C++. Then the second is called the JavaScript. The third very important language, which is I can say the core language for blockchain, that is Solidity. So the basic operations of a blockchain, you can see that we perform transactions like we do on a bank today, or we do on Amazon, or we do any you can say app-based transactions. That if suppose I go to a kirana shop and I just buy some biscuits and vegetables, and after that I just need a QR code in order to transfer the money from my account to the merchandiser account. So we do the transactions. Validation is happening using Bitcoin miners. We broadcast all the valid transactions. There is requiring some consensus principle like proof of concept. And after that, we are putting all the transactions in a block which can never be erased. That's the reason, everybody, I'm telling you, all the transactions that happened since we started blockchain and the future of blockchain, they will be all recorded. You can see all the transactions, whether it is your cold wallet or whether it is your hot wallet. So in terms of transactions, everybody, in terms of blockchain, you can see that you can do anything today. And the very important where I'm working, that I will not tell you about the project, but I'm working here in Vietnam. But you cannot say that it's authorities project. I'm working with some private vendors that if you want to buy some apartment here in Vietnam, you can buy with some blockchain technology. And all the details of the vendor, the money transferring, all the details will be very secure. Of course, personal identification. This is what I'm planning at the airport of Da Nang City, the transportation, banking sector, manufacturing, food distribution, and of course, audits. And let me tell you, everybody, I don't know how many of you are gamers, but if you want to buy any game of Xbox or even PlayStation, because we all know that new gaming consoles will be launching and they will be releasing this, that from 2023, you don't have to buy the game of Xbox or PlayStation from your bank account or with some gift card. If you have a wallet and you have some money, you can even transact that wallet money or the Bitcoin money from your wallet to Microsoft Wallet, and you can buy that game. So this means that it will also open the opportunities for all types of us in order to open apps like app shopping or marketplace or e-commerce. And of course, we see a huge potential in terms of those countries where gaming market is very less. And if you have the blockchain, you can put those money in that. And in terms of validation, everybody, so every transaction is properly signed, every signature is having a digital signature, and of course that signature needs to be validated with public key and the private key. So I will not go into much details of security today, but I will be keeping the lecture simply from the business point of view, the technical point of view, and towards the communication point of view. So this is what you can say, that all the transactions that happen on the blockchain, they will be broadcasted to the open network. And it is like a, you can say, open peer-to-peer communication network, like you see in your lab, that computers are all connected by one another. And if you want to transmit the data, yeah, that data is getting transmitted like a broadcast domain, and the computer with that particular IP address, which needs to be receiving, it gets the receipt. So let me tell you, everybody, every node is like a copy of the ledger. So if you put 1,000 nodes, they have the entire copy of the ledger. So all the computers that are all connected to the nodes, they have the entire data, what is happening in the planet right now. And this is the consensus algorithm. So let me tell you what is consensus. It ensures that the validity of the blockchain is actually true. So which means that if I want to transfer the money from my account to your account, I have to have a proper proof of state, which means that you are ready, I'm ready, proof of work, proof of activity, and of course, the proof of importance. So similarly, with this consensus, we can say that we are making the transactions properly, but sometimes it can even derail the system. So it has its pros and cons, but when, as a scientist, when I do the work practically, we always maintain proper consensus algorithms so that the parties can do the transactions in a secure and in a proper pruned manner. And this is the immutable blockchain, which means blockchain are once written, they can be read, they will never be erased, they cannot be even edited. So that's the reason, everybody, that blockchain are so open that today they even allow you to bring your own encryption standard. But otherwise, we have SHA-2, which is 512 bits secure. But if you want to make your own encryption, if you even go to the internet, I also made my own encryption because I'm a computer hacker. I'm a professional hacker. I'm doing computer hacking from the last 15, 16 years when I was the age of, you can say, 19 years. And today we also even hack the systems, we penetrate the systems, and we try to fix the bugs. Because I'm an ethical hacker, so we have to move with the cyber security. And today we are designing our own encryptions through which the user can make sure that the private key that you are using, or even the public key that you are using, it has an extra layer of security. So right now our focus is on quantum cryptography, that what we can do in order to make these blockchain transactions even secure, even fast, and even moving in a good pace manner, that all the parties agree with a good consensus. So the two fundamental concepts of blockchain, that is the record keeping, that is the hyperledger, and second is the transaction. So if you want to do transaction, you just need to open a wallet, and after that you need a cryptocurrency exchange, which you can give the money, and they will give you the, you can say, the numbers, or you can say a particular balance in your wallet in terms of cryptocurrency. So after that, you can trade, you can even do mining. So I can even show you in my lab, we also do crypto mining. Even I have a company in Hong Kong, we do crypto mining, but we don't trade into Bitcoins. Crypto mining requires extreme GPU power. So in my lab, what we do, we have 3 GPUs with RTX 4090, which are combined together as a cluster and which are having 1 terabyte of RAM. So this computer makes a good computer in order to perform Bitcoin mining. So it is all encryptions and validating all the transactions. So in order to keep this registry information, you can see we have a distributed databases for storing, like example, land, food safety, other things, identity, smart contracts, dynamic registry. And I have done lots of work in blockchain, especially for food industry. Now we are doing lots of work in terms of banking, of course, e-commerce. And my next dream is to add blockchain for the military. This is my dream, because if I can integrate blockchain for the military level communication network, it means that this blockchain is a really adaptable communication network, and it is ready to be used for different diverse application areas.
Sir, am I audible?
These are the 5 myths.
Hello, sir, am
Please
I audible?
mute yourselves. Thank you. These are the 5 common blockchain myths that create misconceptions. So Bitcoin is blockchain. It is not.
Excuse me, sir.
Bitcoin is just
sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt, sir. We have a time restriction. If you please wrap up a bit early, sir, it would be great.
How much time do I have?
It was at least 12:40, and it has already crossed, sir.
Okay, I can just give you the last slide right now. But
Sure,
otherwise,
sir.
I wanted to speak for next 20 more minutes, because this is a very diversified topic for you, because I'm looking into it. So the first myth, you should understand that Bitcoin is not blockchain. Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency like we have Ethereum. But if you talk of blockchain, it is a technology that is configured in order to produce Bitcoin transactions. Blockchain is better than traditional databases. Yes, of course, it is better. It has some advantages. Still, we are having some lags. We are having some backlogs that we are fixing. And blockchain is immutable or tamper-proof. Of course, you can just append the data, but you cannot remove that data. And blockchain is 100% secure. It is 100% secure till date. We have not seen any data theft or leakages. But still, with the customization of bring your own encryption, we can say that blockchain is producing very good answer. It is becoming more adaptable for reusability. So with this, everybody, I would like to give you a very brief note that what is blockchain, so the application areas. But of course, with restriction of time, I would have discussed something with regard to 5G today, but it's a big lecture. I cannot discuss much today. So thank you so much for inviting me, and I wish you all the best for listening to the other speakers in this conference. If anybody has any question, they can ask me. I'm ready to answer your question.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed a very interesting and informative listening to you. Proceeding to the next speaker in the row of this keynote session of International Conference on Creativity, Innovation, Growth and Sustainability 2023, we have Professor Dr. Muhammad Azim, Head MBA Program, University of Bolton, UAE. He is a senior academician and researcher in the areas of HR, general management, HR analysis, etc. He has taught in the prestigious universities such as American University of Emirates and many more. He is PhD in Human Resource Management from the Management and Science University, Malaysia. Masters in Economics from the University of Punjab, Lahore, Pakistan. As a researcher, he has significantly contributed to many of the other organizations. Without wasting much time, I would likely call Sir Professor Dr. Muhammad Azim to hand over the mic. Sir, it's over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
All right, thank you. So good afternoon, dear colleagues and scholars. I'm very grateful for this opportunity and feel immense pleasure to present my point of view in this esteemed conference. I'm presenting an idea which is based on solely my own experience and try to develop a theoretical framework which can be taken up to the further level. So the topic I'm going to talk about, it is to address the unemployability issue among the university graduates. And the idea which I'm going to present, it is the wider perspective of the talent development. The problem we have observed is that graduates have no smooth transitions from universities to the workplaces. They enter the job market as internees, which is mostly unpaid, and it is from 3 to 6 months. Many graduates start with a career not aligned to their qualifications. Employers are not very happy on the quality of fresh graduates. This issue is not specific to a particular field, but an overall problem in most of the careers. To further understand the issue, we have conducted a pilot study. It was a survey where we approached young families who has at least one career starter, and they have graduated before or by 2017 and living in UAE. And we conducted this survey in year 2022. It was a pilot study to get some insight about the issue of unemployment and unemployability status among university graduates. We have used the purposive convenient sampling. Some snowball approach was used. And successfully, we have reached about 150 respondents. Later on, some employers and academicians were also interviewed in this regards to further understand the nature of the problem. Of course, these results are not generalizable and should not be considered the true job market condition in UAE. And this survey was only to understand the nature of the problem. 86% have obtained the degree from the universities outside the UAE, and there were foreign campuses. Also, we have in UAE some international campuses and outside the UAE as well. They have obtained the qualifications from universities, belongs to India, UK, Pakistan, Egypt, and some other countries. Among the participants, the popular degrees they have business and accounting, computing, engineering, and undergraduate degree holders were 47% and master degrees were 43%. Among the gender classification, we have 60% female and 43% male, 40% male. 48% were employed according to their qualifications. And out of those, 90% have moderate to high risk of losing their jobs. Employed in misaligned careers with respect to qualifications, they were 33%. Self-employed 10%, and still looking for jobs, they're 5%. Used in their jobs. And they have to learn new things during the job. About 70% mentioned that they could not get right internship. It was also difficult and not possible for many graduates to get the internship. Now, we have the finding from this initial exploration that graduates are facing challenges in entering the right career. They are completing the internship, but they are not able to secure a job in that particular industry. There are many visible jobs, but number of candidates are more than the vacancies. Employers consider that offering internship to find a right candidate is an effective approach. Companies are spending on training for new employees as well as the current employees. Employers are not very confident about the future of their own businesses. They feel unsecure due to market uncertainty. A real challenge is the changing lifestyle and customer preferences. New and better way of doing businesses are emerging, and they find themselves redundant with the current infrastructure and technologies. So what questions we have set for our further investigation? Can an organization develop a business strategy for the period more than a year? What jobs are actually available? Do employers know what skills education is required in future? Are businesses able to find right candidate for them? Are university graduates ready to grow in their careers? Are graduates ready to face new challenges of the workplaces? How many are successful in getting jobs and how many are not? Is the future of current students in the universities safe? Is the issue common around the world? Therefore, based on these questions and the problem which we have identified, we try to conceptualize the implications so that we can understand the seriousness of the matter. Although there are many, but we have listed three main implications. One is due to unemployability, they start spending more money to get the new skills and certifications. And of course, it has further consequences, increasing education expenses, burden on parents or sponsors, as well as it will encourage towards the mushroom growth of training centers. And it has further implication as well. The second direct implication is the frustration that most of these young graduates they have, which is going to affect their marital status, health issues, psychological problems, social issues. And those who compromise with the wrong career path, hopelessness, a waste of money spent on qualifications, increasing cost on the job training, delay in potential career growth, filling the jobs of other potential right candidates. So implications are quite serious. Therefore, we move to understand the structure of the causes of the issues. Looking from the right side, we can have direct, immediate reasons of this unemployability. One is either the less jobs are available or insufficient skills among the graduates. If we continue with the less job availability, it has connection with the weak company positions. It could be the internal issues, or we are more interested to connect it with the market uncertainty in this research. And this market uncertainty is connected with the changing consumer preferences, and which has the reason due to new and emerging technologies. The second component, which is the insufficient skills among graduates, they have could be individual level factors or the university education systems, which has a further connection with the curriculums, quality of education, states regulations. So when there are new emerging technologies, are we able to align the curriculum with these new technologies? Quality of education, it depends what is the quality of professors, faculty, and their knowledge with respect to the new emerging technologies. And the current is education system of the education. Based on this root cause analysis, we have reached to another level of conceptualization. If we see in this slide from the left, we have three time periods, point of times. One is T0, and then right side T1 and T2. It means that three time lags are involved in this entire process. One lag is between T0 and T1 due to the emerging technologies, how quickly the industry responds, how quickly they adapt to these new technology in terms of new infrastructure, new types of the machines, the people, the new design of the product, because consumers, they are now expecting different things. The second, the lag is between new emerging technologies, which is T0, and T2, which is alignment to the new learning requirements. Of course, it is linked to our curriculum and educational programs in universities. And how quickly universities are responsive to these new emerging technologies. And based on these two lags, we have another lag, which is between T1 and T2, which is more relevant in this study, because the universities are taking direct inspiration from the industry requirements. So if there is a rapid change in the upgradation of the industry is very much responsive to the new technologies. Maybe the existing companies, they shut down, but many new businesses, they emerge. Of course, the employability is somewhere lying over there. And are we aligned to this new learning requirements? So there are three lags. One is between T1, T0, T2 and T0, and T1 and T0. So we are hypothesizing, this is our initial hypothesis, that there's a time lag involved between the emergence of new technologies and its implementation. The successful implementation of learning in workplace depends on the conditions aligned to the learning environment in universities. If similar conditions prevail at the job, the result will be positive. But if conditions change to the workplace, then the best practices of past may not be very helpful. This applies at individual level, at the group level, or the organization level. Now think of the skills and knowledge we impart in schools and universities. Our students learn and they learn well, but by the time they reach the career, the environment may change. Therefore, we need to understand what jobs are actually available for our graduates. So we have a grouped, in broader sense, two types of jobs which are available for the university graduates. On the left side, this is the group job based on the existing technologies and current knowledge. Right side is the job based serious job training is required as such. Easy to start work, but difficult to enter the job. Job instability due to redundant skills and technologies. Businesses are facing challenge of competing with the emerging trends. Low paid in most cases. They are dealing with the issues whose solution is linked with the root cause of, for example, employees demotivation, machine breakdown, customer satisfaction, etc. Sometimes we try to find innovative solutions of these issues, but it is an efficient way, but they all deal with the technologies of the past. These issues and job suits to the mindset who believe that similar conditions will prevail in the workplace. On the right-hand side, we find those jobs which are linked with the new and emerging technologies. They are also many, but applicants are not many. On the job learning is required because there is no prior solution is available and a lot of experimentation is required. Difficult to start the work, but easy to enter the job. Job stability is high and skills and knowledge are not redundant. Businesses have competitive advantage. There are better salaries. These jobs are not linked to the root causes, rather to the issues due to many solutions. For example, finding innovative designs, reaching new destinations for global expansion, or finding the right project to invest, etc. These are the issues which are really bothering the organizations. They need talent who can sail their ship in this uncertain future. These issues job required a mindset that different conditions are waiting for us. So based on these two mindset, we reached to this point so far that there are candidates in the universities who have the approach towards their career. They approach the career with the assumption that similar condition will prevail at the workplace. Perhaps they are not wrong because there are a lot of visible such jobs are available around us. There's another group of graduates or students who have the approach and mindset that different conditions are waiting for them. So our theoretical framework is not based on the conventional talent management definition, which is more the inside the organizational phenomena, internal phenomena. Rather, we are looking toward the talent beyond the scope of the conventional definition. So our theoretical framework is highlighting three broad factors that leads to this mindset, the mindset which is that the new challenges and the environment is waiting for us. Number one, they are problem solvers. They have the motivation to approach the issue for the solution. They can identify and structure the problem well, and they can provide the creative solutions. Number two, they are risk takers. Presence of challenge, needs to deal with the challenge and takes the responsibility. And most important out of these three is the futuristic mindset. They are visionary and strategic in their approach. They have up-to-date knowledge. They have the awareness of the future trends, find solutions aligned to the future needs, self-directed and lifelong learners. So our hypothesis, driven from the theoretical framework, is that talent is more individual level phenomena than the organizational. It should be seen in the line with the learner-centered teaching and learning. Talent is a relevant term. It is relevant to the context and nature of work. Talent is built outside the organization and used inside the organization. Organizations refine their talent to the higher level in a specific context. All individuals carry an approach towards the career. This approach mindset can make them successful or unsuccessful at any particular point of time. Individuals can create success in job market with this mindset and readiness to face different conditions and challenges never had before. Talented people are problem solvers, risk takers, and futuristic. So we are going to conclude with the framework, which is lifelong learning and which takes us beyond the premises, which takes the talent management beyond the premises of the organization. If we are assuming that individual, the graduates, the learners, they take their own responsibility.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Actually, sorry to interrupt, but sir, we have some restricted times for every speakers. So could you please wrap it up?
This is the last slide.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
We are concluding. Thank you for pointing. So, this is a zone of informal learning that you can see the bigger circle in the middle. And schools, universities, training centers, they are more formal training providers. And all these institutions, organizations, it is their responsibility to develop an individual or guide them or coach them as a problem solver, as a risk taker, and the futuristic mindset. And then, of course, when they reach to the organizational domain, the organization takes them to the further level. So as a conclusion, we can say that Peter Drucker's concept of knowledge work needs to be interpreted in terms of future rather than past. Should we completely transfer responsibility to institutions and employers for our mental development? Or is it our own responsibility to keep our spirit alive and ready to face the changing workplaces? Passionate to face the new challenges, take the risk with up-to-date knowledge and skills. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And if you have any questions, you're most welcome.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a very informative session. Sir, all the questions will be taken at the end of this session of the keynote one. Sure, sir?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Proceeding to the next speaker in the row, we have Dr. Sami A. Khan, Professor, HRM, King Abdul Aziz University, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Dr. Khan has 27 years of post-PhD teaching experience, training, and research in the area of human resource management. Dr. Khan has taught courses in HRM, strategic human resource management, performance management, staffing, compensation management, training and development, industrial relations, labor laws, organizational behavior, organization development and change, HRD, fundamentals of management, strategic management, entrepreneurship, CSR and business ethics, and economic development in the Gulf states. His specific areas of interest include HRM, HR strategy, and benchmarking HR practices, performance management, HRD and OD interventions, and the management of change. Thank you, sir. It's your time to take the microphone and enlighten us with your knowledge. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Very good morning, good afternoon in India. It is 10:30 or 35 here in Jeddah. Thank you very much for inviting me. And really, it is good change for a teacher who are more into teaching and having such fora. Uh, just I want to share my PowerPoint and then I will start. Just bear with me. Yeah. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
No, sir, the screen is not yet shared.
Okay.
It seems that it has
Uh,
starting.
okay.
Yes, sir, it is now visible.
Okay. So yeah, thank you. Just a minute. Then all right. I'm going to speak on algorithmic HR. The name is little bigger, and decision making, HR decision making. There has been huge, you can say, change in terms of technology after the COVID has arrived us, especially in our context. Though the HRM remains same, not much change in terms of its dynamics and I mean the functional attributes, but how it is being done, there has been huge change worldwide. So what we see here, like we see big changes in Saudi Arabia in that context. Like you look at my PowerPoint here, I'm just talking about basically I teach performance management as well, and we see most of the companies now moving away, and especially last of my research, I'm just sharing some of the portion in the beginning. Let me share with you of my earlier research, like done on work from home, and then we started because we have a PhD program, so we started like some research, and some of my student or one of my student he was more interested in digital HRM and EHRM and the algorithmic HR. Uh, this is very fancy, looks too, but it is happening a lot. So we just noticed. You can say I was not aware much because lack of interaction with industrial phase. But my student having 12 years and he was working in HR departments, he has good connection. He say, yeah, let us see what is happening. So when we went into data, we see, there is a huge change happening in Saudi perspective worldwide, but we are more interested because to have the adequacy of data here. So we just tried, we were having wrong perception, personally me. So we try to see, how important it is. So let me just fix my PowerPoint. Yeah. So, like I was just saying, HR remains same, not much, but some of the issues, like like I have just, if you look at, I'm just jotting down few here. So we find, there is a, like we all keep doing research, like few point I've written here, like engagement, motivations, learning, leadership. These are the most important issue. So I mean, I thought, okay, let us take fancy the idea of how really the because EHRM and HRIS system is, this is one of the area, and being basically man, like we are more traditional researcher, not like young researcher. So I was little tempted as well because it provides you good learning. So I was put into that kind of this thing, and credit goes to, of course, one of my students, uh, Mahmoud. Yeah. So we have seen how these new tools emerging, like like especially in recent 2 years, we have seen work from home. And my last paper, I did a chapter, and we have seen it was huge in Saudi Arabia, and especially my paper was on women. And we have seen its impact on work from home, on in terms of productivity, engagement, and other issues such as work-life balance and all those issues, how it has become. And we know this hybrid work has become the reality in present set of time. So digital HRM or all these names emerging, and we have to see like how much the companies are using that. So that was the basic object. Yeah, and the other context, yeah, if you look at here in Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia had done really well in terms of if we talk about the use of e-governance, and that has impact on companies as well. Most of the companies more electronic savvies, availability of the smartphone and other system and all people, and also that most of the people are using companies are using such platform, right? So they have gone into more into digitization of data. And if you look at the Saudi Arabia e-government development index, that was the highest they're saying in their own history, and certain chunk, certain they jumped from 31st place in 2022 from 43rd in 2020 out of 193 countries, right? So this is a huge achievement, achieving, and they scored 82% in the year 2022. In fact, the city Riyadh was ranked fourth in the world in the use of technology and its application within the very high range classification among 193 cities around the world. And there are huge projects going on like NEOM here, and so many things. I mean, the Riyadh is changed, and there are too many things happening in terms of technology application and all, and use of like modern, you can say, living and the infrastructure. So that has really had huge impact. So in that context, we try to look at how digital HRM or the new fancy name which I'm getting, like I'm just we all know algorithm now. So I was really in my last year when I was teaching this course, and I was very critical of all these and saying fancying the idea, like that how exactly it is happening, how much it is happening. But later we just, when we started the research and we went into, because the term is very confusing, it has not been crystallized still, you understand. And right now we did a paper for HR journal, like Wiley, and still we are going through that. So they are still crystallizing. So a lot of papers are being published on, or like a lot of journals are attempting and encouraging HR researcher to work on these area. Though it is like say for traditional researcher and all. So we have different kind of domain and we have different focus. But now it is moving more into how the interface of technology and like the HR dispensation or HR arrangement or HR outcomes overall, and how they are serving their competitive strategy of the firm. So that exactly is the new push to the environment. Coming back to our issue, yeah, this I have jotted down here. So just like, if you look at the introduction, I'm talking there's more use of digital data to support HRDC. This is happening worldwide, and more algorithm in general. And that's why the fuse of all science discipline who are using and that data. So these are three important part here. If you look at what we are talking about, digitalizations or algorithmic, right, use of. So that first is, of course, digitization. So that's conversion of those data, deployment of algorithm, partial or full automation of HR decision making. So actually, this is shaping how people are being managed. Though it is not relevant only, like, of course, there are a lot of ethical issues, fairness, legal issues and all. Processes also is very important area too, and there is a huge scope for research, I see those people. So we are looking into, yeah, if you look at here, yeah, the use of sensor, smart devices in workplace, including a smartphone, smart watches, GPS tracking, those smart tools, those badges, sociometric badges and all. So they further like, they are digitizing those data, worker related data, and that are helping, either they are automating the whole HR decision making in many cases, or they are, say for example, augmenting. So that's happening, like, yeah, like I have noted down here some of the references. So generation of digital data that capture workers' behavior, action, location, performance, emotional state, or social relationship. People can question, of course, like, these are all happening. So there is a security issues or privacy issues. Another issue can also be questioned, but that is happening, like, And I don't know that is how far the part of your social economic contract or part of even the psychological contract is another area which can be seen like through from employee perspective. That's why there are some issue, there are some differences of opinion. But as far as the HR is becoming more unitarist, less of like the countervailing forces, employee having less say, no trade union, and then people don't have much choice. This is happening in the world right now. So yeah, so digitization and all these, so data like use of more big data. Uh, yeah, is it okay now? Uh, like we are artificial intelligence, big data, cloud computing. All these are taking the center stage of like organizational management. These realities these days. Yeah. Coming back to before I share my some portion of study, I'm just a theoretical proposition like which has emerged. Some of the references are like if you just run through that, then I'll go to my research. Uh, so technology has, like we just talked about, is a huge impact in your HR architecture, right? HR system, HR processes, and all. Like I just talked about. So it is use of IT to cloud computing to artificial intelligence. All these have huge, so they have impacted on HRM deliverable in a big way. Uh, like we just talked about, there are some definition emerging. So if you try to look at and now it has happened, so it is taking care of technologies to create all facilitating interaction, transaction between the HR activity, right from onboarding to the post offboarding, and technology is being used to create, reconfigure, configure, deliver, enhance those value addition, right, doing services to for employees so that they can do the work nicely, for manager for their more you can say informed decision making, and for HR practitioners to see like where they are really adding more value to their business strategy or adding to competitive advantage of the firm, and other stakeholder as well, supply chain management and all these. So these implementation of course is having huge impact like you like on decision making, managerial decision making, and strategic planning of it. And that's why we actually this research I'm not going into competitive advantage that we try to look at, because that was the original research. But here, like my paper is more talking about HR decision making and how algorithmic HRM that is augmented, like that capability adopted by company has improved. So we try to with that hypothesis and all, and we saw this happening. So that's the simple you can say, because I can't share, this paper is under publication, so I can't share. That was the I just talked to Dr. Indranil and I say it is okay. But of course, itself is a good observation, you can say. And later on, I can share on the paper if anybody is interested uh, to share the full paper. So HRM discourse, like if you look at, like we just talked about, yeah, it has evolved. Like we just talked about HRIS to HRM to now we are into a different phase altogether. Uh, yeah, these new definitions. So there are different people like so this is the definition we adopted. So formula rules, that is built to connect, collect, analyze, design, process, and formulate insight out of big data for a large number of sources. So that is happening. Yeah, what kind of activities? Like it includes almost most of the activities, right? From recruitment to pay increase to expected turnover, and right, they are forecasting or designing strategies such as HR planning, workforce planning, and matching the business strategy with the right kind of like HR interface. So it is all either the vertical integration or like I'm talking HR vertical alignment, not integration. Sorry, vertical alignment or the horizontal alignment of HR. So horizontal alignment is what we are doing in different pieces, different hands, and how they are aligned, these HR things. And then that helps you a lot, which is in day-to-day practices, like most of the company, they miss the bus there and HR managers. So this is the huge opportunity for them. And of course, vertical alignment with your business strategy. So creating that kind of workforce related behavior which is relevant in the company. Yeah, that's it. HRM, in fact, or HRIS, and then digital HRM, and yeah. So coming back to the part of our ongoing research, like I said, Mahmood, Abdali, and Khan. This is our research. There is a third person in the other research, but I'm just quoting here. So Mahmood has created data and all this, and it has been really because taking his advantage because he's working companies HR as HR manager, and he has access to his network, especially people are so the young people are highly networked and also taking that advantage. At least we are having access to data. Otherwise, reaching 240 or 250 HR managers or practitioners is a difficult thing, especially in a context like GCC, like country like Oman, UAE, and Qatar, like it is very difficult. We are sitting in India. So these are two actually study we have original research are having many hypotheses, but our main all these emerging from. So I'm going to talk here two hypotheses, which is very important we propose. And then, yeah, so let's go into research questions, which basically triggered the whole research. So we look into how far, no, this research question is meant for this paper. That was different. Okay. Yeah. So how far the, sorry, I'm mixing little because this paper is based on my original research, which I'm sharing some portion of that. So please, but what I'm writing, I'm owning that. How far the usage of algorithmic HR adds value to the strategic HR decision making ability? This is a very important question because people were having like, it may backfire, and sometimes it has sometimes it has lack of explainability of algorithm, right? I don't know how far it adds value or not. So that is also has been a question. Second is thing we try to look into digital HR digital maturity, HR capability maturity, and part of that is HR digital maturity. So we use scale used by somebody else. I have referred somewhere, or maybe in paper also I must have referred. So that maturity is of HR competence of managing data. Digital maturity is also critical in realization of HR decision making. So we look at this like, the moderation. So does it important? Does it augment or does it have impact on that? Because as a researcher, I think, and still because that was not established, that hypothesis, but still I have huge, I'm still in a fix to see like, what has gone into and how we should look into. So that is one of the important thing I find in my research. Yeah, if you look at the proposed model, so this was the original research. So algorithmic HR, how it is adding to the quality of HR decision making and all. And that is leading to enhancing the competitive advantage of the firm. So, and HR capability or digital maturity we use. So these were the four original, you can say, variable. Yeah. Here we see HR capability. So HR strategic decision making we use in original research as a mediator. How far it mediates the decision. And original research, let me show you, it was established. Yeah, it is very important to enhance strategic competitive advantage. But that portion I am not sharing here, but I'm just for sharing. Yeah, and so I'm going to share two relationship here. Algorithmic HR with HR strategic decision making, does it impact? Yes, this was the hypothesis one. And the other, we try to look into the moderating value of HR maturity, digital maturity or capability, digital capability maturity. And that was not so that extent, that relationship was weak. Yeah, these are the hypotheses. Algorithmic HR impacts positively to the HR strategic decision making. HR digital maturity moderates the relationship between the use of algorithmic HR and HR decision making. So this is we see the moderation. One relationship I'm sharing here. In original research, we have 5 hypotheses, like just I mentioned you. Interesting question I want to share you, how to reach that. This is a trick of research, and also I was really discussing with some of my colleague here and senior researcher and across continent. And so we used survey questionnaire, and but it was very tricky because to reach to people here with limited resource we have as a researcher, and especially you know right now most of the I don't know by other part of the GCC, but our research fund is not so huge in percentage.
Excuse me, sir.
It's
Uh,
yeah.
Due to some timing restriction, I would request you to wrap up a little bit.
Okay. So how many minutes I have? 25 minutes I was given. How many minutes I spent?
5 minutes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So here is that survey questionnaire, like, we send to people with Mahmoud's network is part of the Saudi HRM and all these. So we were able to reach to 273 responses. Then we saw that 39 responses were not qualifying. They were not using like, any kind of digital HRM or algorithmic HRM. So we just deleted that. And then we use smart playlists. So yeah, these are the questions which were basically qualified. So based on definition, I clearly understand the differences between EHRM, digital HR. So this question asked before, like, reaching out, send them with the survey. My employer already applied use at least one of the following. So HR function my applied as the best fit professional practices, HR module within ERP such as Oracle, SAP, Microsoft Dynamics being used, HRIS or MS standalone is being used, web-based employee, all these like mobile application and manager self-service supporting multiple platforms such as Android OS or Harmony OS or Windows Mobile. Use of advanced artificial intelligence, robotics or machine learning in HR activities being used. So we were trying to see, and then we were trying to capture data and all, like how the companies are having the clear, like their digital transformation agenda. This is the big issue now. So how they are putting into that? They're going to put into, because it's all about money. So are you going to put into that? You come into that. You create that kind of infrastructure or workforce. So it doesn't suit all companies because there are all view and cry of the company type of companies. So you will see like uh, capital intensive, technological intensive companies and all. Anyway, coming back to the issue because we don't have time, 4 minutes left. So if we this is the sample size and all, like we just talked about, this is the different specialty they are having. Most of the employee relations and services 39%. Second most is talent acquisition, yeah, reward people like in 21%. In specialist and the manager, they were major chunk. Even director, we have huge 24%. So this was the size. This was the sample. So this scale HRM was developed. The references given here. We try to through EFA exploratory factor analysis, and we try to look at the loading and all these communities data and all eigenvalues, and we reach to those points. Much work was done by Mahmoud, so I'm just being silent here in terms of more into seeing. Yeah, these are different scales being used for HR studies decision making. I have referenced here Jarup Tirun, and digital maturity was Irimius and Mitier. So this was the, yeah. Earlier we conducted pilot studies, and that was Cronbach alpha was 0.7 and all, so that satisfied our pilot studies and all. And we provided link to the concerned people, and the data was collected using bilingual. These are some of the data here. Is talking about because two validity very important, so we find it's working having reflective construct and also convergent and discriminant validity. So these are more information on convergent validity to see the those values are given here. Yeah, so we got CA values, which is of course Cronbach alpha, rho, and CR values. Yeah, these are supposed to be, and AVA value also, like average variance estimation was also found to be higher, 0.5. So we were having convergent value. Same with the here the HTMT values. So that was found to be higher than what was required, and the square root of ABE, that was also seen, yeah, there, HTMT values. So both like this, yeah, HTMT values. You try to see here, H 0.563, 0.63. These are three variables I've just discussed here. This is the structure modeling, and then bootstrapping was done using 5,000 read samples, and we found that each one was established. We all five hypotheses, four was established, but I'm sharing two here, which is relevant for this paper. Moderation, that which we had discussed, was rejected. Yeah, this is the most important point here. So coming back to, like I just said, the H1 was established with higher probability, but H2 was not established. So H1 itself is that establishing the relationship for algorithmic HR is very important in influencing the quality of HR decision making. So that was a big, especially finding for me as a researcher, HR researcher, because I was not very sure, and that it is so, it can be relooked. The other area, of course, is to be seen. The H2 was not established, maybe many reasons. It was value came probability value to 0.135. So this influence can be difficult to see the maturity, though it is very important. But sometimes even if the technology helping you and then it works, sometimes even if you don't have developed that, so that is if really it happens, we have to see then the availability and supply for a qualified HR, that will have a question mark, or the line managers are taking care of that sort of management. That is a question. So that readiness of, yeah, for HR decision making was not seen. This relationship are not established, but HR capability and maturity in organization play a critical role in implementing HRM and making or executing critical HR decisions. Last point, I think I'm done. To PowerPoint here. So most important point here is like we talk about digital maturity and all, but the absence of it, like I said, there are some researches which are like Wang, especially all this research is, of course, is research on based on AST theory, which is talking about capability, maturity, and all, and he talked about why it is not happening. So it can be a reason because how this interface between the technology and this your HR interface, that if it is being absorbed, that technology is that in the place. So that effectiveness is saying information technology depends on the structure of a technology and the context there, right? So that has to be seen. So we need more research in that area, and more important thing is here, like maturity is talk about mindset of implementers, other is organization culture, organization characteristics type, another competency and all is still uh, studied and all, but the maturity has not been done. So we went for this, and let's see in future research if we can touch upon. That's why or we are looking into the having the, we have the limitation of data as well, because of ethicality of publication, the paper is published. So that's why some share of some data I have not done share with you. Of course, this can be seen to other HR variables and its interface, how it is doing, rather than being more specific. It can be done in future research. Other can we can look into the industrial specific sector as well, because they are a capital intensive industry, there are labor intensive, and those who are using within them. So see, even the small and medium enterprise and all, medium size. So this is very relevant, and they are, some of the companies are using high tech, in terms of when they are starting. This is the mindset of companies here. So yeah, like I said, it was, and then it was a quantitative research or some mixed research that can help him to more in-depth analysis of this. Most important thing, like I see, I mean, in the future, is to evaluate the context processes of this thing, because that is the nut and bolts of algorithmic HR. Challenges of its implementation, and then ethical usage. In fact, these are the areas. Basically, fairness and legal, like I'm saying, these are challenges. These are three challenges, big challenges. Like people say ethically, yeah, you are collecting data and then making decision on them. And many times it is being done by 100% decision making by machine. So how far that is ethical, and use of that can have lack of explainability. I say algorithm. This proposition. Other is the how employee react. But, if their countervailing power is going down, but if either they are happy or not, is it really serving to the organization? That's it. So these are throwing big questions, and the future research, so this is one of the emerging areas where we are arriving at some of the definitions and some of the connotation under the algorithmic HR, and I'm sure our paper will add some value in that direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed a very informative session with you. Thank you so much for joining us in this link and enlightening these keynote sessions of this entire international conference.
Thank you.
Proceeding to the next speaker of the keynote session, Professor Dr. Sanjay Banerjee, who is a professor in finance at Buffalo University of Nottinghamshire, England, United Kingdom. Prior to this, he was a reader at University of Essex. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for the invitation. First, actually, let me do. Normally, I'm kind of used to the Teams. Okay. So sharing screen. Can anybody? What should I do? Should I kind of click my documents? That's all, or?
সঞ্জয় নিচে শেয়ার স্ক্রিন আছে
আচ্ছা এখানে নিচে হ্যাঁ এক্স্যাক্টলি
শেয়ার স্ক্রিনে ক্লিক করুন আপনি শেয়ার স্ক্রিনে ক্লিক করুন
আচ্ছা শেয়ার স্ক্রিন ওকে শেয়ার কথাটা লেখা আছে আমি ক্লিক করলাম
ইটস ডান নাও আপনি এখন ক্লিক করেছেন সো ইটস ফ্রি জাস্ট ওয়েট ফর আ মিনিট
আচ্ছা এখন কি
this way it is coming up
so now it's not yet visible
right?
Yeah,
So
stop share
should I stop? Okay, just one second. Stop share, okay.
Well, it should come back 1 minute. If not, it can't. Now, the document is open. What do you want to share?
No, document is open. Document second. Document এখনো দেখা যাচ্ছে না
না এখন তো দেখা যাবে না because it's not shared.
Exactly so, right, okay. So আমি just a second.
So open the document on your desktop.
আমি সেটা actually আমার open করাই আছে.
Okay, now I can click share screen.
Okay, just
on the arrow.
Okay. So
on the arrow, no, don't click anywhere else, just click on the arrow because if you click anywhere else, then what happens?
Share screen, right.
And a window should open up on your desktop.
Right, এবারে আমি যেটা করেছি এখন কি
share screen উপরে একদম corner left hand side এ share screen.
I think it should be
now.
Yes sir, it is visible now.
Now you can full screen.
It is visible, sir.
Okay, all right then.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Shankarshan.
I am the next because I just got logged in 5 minutes early. But আপনি full screen করে দিন সঞ্জয় দা।
আমি full screen করে দিচ্ছি হ্যাঁ okay.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry for the interruption. There is a time limit for your session that is up till 1:05. You have the time limit, sir.
Okay. Full. No.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I think. All right. So full.
So you have till 2:05. Your session will be continuing.
Okay. All right. So.
You are having 25 minutes in your hands, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir.
I
Thank
think
you,
I
sir.
will be finishing by the time. Well, actually, I'm kind of by the way, I'm not in my office. I'm actually visiting Cyprus right now. So it looks like here the connection is not. Connection is not that great. Okay, something is kind of getting circling. Okay, when I'm trying to make it full screen. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. There is no need to make it a full screen. It is visible, and it's quite okay with that.
No, but what I'm just trying to do, I'm trying to.
Just cross it, sir. Yes, sir. It's fine, sir. Absolutely visible now.
Okay. No, what I'm trying to do is changing the screen. Okay. So anyway, I guess that is if I kind of share this version of the screen because it'll be easier for me to change the slides. Okay.
Sure, sir.
So,
Fine, sir.
so basically, kind of today's talk is kind of going to be on. So the question is that, like, can the skilled experts in board of directors, they can enforce better governance, the role of incentives and reputation. So my talk will be structured into three parts. The one part is that, like, I will be kind of giving you the introduction, and then I will explain the importance of the questions and some idea about our conclusion. And then actually kind of, if I have time, I will go through the empirical implications, okay? But it's mostly kind of a theory paper with empirical implication. So why, what is the kind of a main issue of the paper, okay? Main issue of the paper is that, see that, like, in terms of a corporation's charter, the board plays the most important role. Why? Because if a corporation is owned by millions of small investors, then it means that the controlling shareholders or the CEO of the company, due to agency problem, they can take the money and divert into their own personal interests. So that's how one needs an intermediary. So that intermediary is the board. The board is, by the way, it is well known that it is elected by the shareholders, and then the board basically selects the recruits the CEO to run the company along with the other agents like workers, supervisors, and so on and so forth. Okay? So very recently, there is a kind of a tendency that, like, so anyway, before I kind of going to the recent change, okay, in the structure of board. So what happens is that the board basically has two functions basically. So what are the two functions? One is the monitoring. That is so make it sure that the CEO uses the right projects, okay, CEO works hard, CEO does not take the law in hand and takes care of the shareholders' interests. That's kind of monitoring. The other part is that is offering advice. Okay, so this is the second line I'm reading or explaining. So offering useful advice in the sense that is what needs to be done, what needs to be not done, and etc. Right? So now, intuitively, these two work is in kind of in some sort of a contradiction, because monitoring means an arm's length relationship, because you cannot be close somebody and then can monitor and then can punish or reward. Okay, so in order to do the job neutrally without any partiality, one has to be one has to maintain an arm's length relationship with the CEO. On the other hand, advice giving, like, means a closer relationship, because they kind of interact on a regular basis in a friendly atmosphere. The question is that whether these two tasks stand in contradiction, and if they stand in contradiction, what can a corporation can do to incentivize the board of directors to do their fiduciary duty. What are the fiduciary duties in one word? Taking the right project, expanding when it is due, dissolving if it's unprofitable, and also, most importantly, maintain clarity, transparency in all transactions and communications. Okay? So these are kind of fiduciary duty of the boards, okay? And it's a kind of a complex because of these two contradictory tasks, monitoring and giving advice, okay? So our question is that, what does skill has to do with the whole process? So why the skill is important? The reason being the skill is that very recently there have been a tendency for the companies to include in the board of directors a skilled personnel, okay, both for the independent director as well as the elected directors. Their skill level become kind of quite important. There are a number of papers, but I will be, for the lack of time, since I have altogether 25 minutes and I've already probably spent about 5 minutes on already. So the rest of the 20 minutes, I'll go and explain my model in the second part. But there are a number of papers, but the most important paper that kind of led to writing of this paper. By the way, this paper has been written jointly with my colleague in Essex University, Tiang Si Wang. So the empirical evidence, okay, is just say that like, say, Renee Adams and her co-authors in a very influential study in Journal of Financial Economics found out that about 89, in their sample, 89 point, almost 90% of the boards have management skills, leadership skills about 75%, legal skills about 34%, risk management skills 27%, and the manufacturing skill, entrepreneurial skills, okay, so which means kind of it is determined by the, mostly measured by the degrees, official degrees that they have, okay, and also almost everybody has finance and accounting skills, okay. So in addition to finance and accounting skills, they have lots of other soft skills as well, okay. Now, so, I mean, there are other things like, you know, that the firms take it very seriously. Not only that, they change the skill sets. If the business interests change, okay, there's some shocks in the business, and they invite the skilled board members to sit in other committee, and there are many, many things, okay? So the question is that, what is, okay, we want to say, okay, why do you hire board in order to implement fiduciary duty, which is transparency in communication and information dissemination, as well as taking the right projects, so on and so forth, okay? Do the right things that basically increases the shareholders' interests, okay? So now, where does skill play? Why does the skill play a role here? So the first question, the main question would be like, you know, I mean, so the skills present in the boardroom, two companies, same in every aspect. In one company, the boards are a lot more skilled than the other one, okay? And does it mean that the company that has more skill in the boardroom will institute corporate governance practices at a lower cost? Because that's where the economics is coming from. I mean, you can increase, I mean, you can install skill board, you know, to the extent if you like, but the point is that everything has its own cost. So ultimately, one has to see that this is also from the business point of view, whether it is profitable to employ the skilled board of directors. Okay, so so I will go directly to since of the main questions of the paper, okay? So basically, then it means that we know that when we talk about the costly or expensiveness, then it means that first thing actually we have got to look at, okay, that is how much money are they being paid, okay? So question is that can optimal compensation scheme to be designed that will elicit the tasks from both board as well as the CEOs, because remember that is the board's main task is to govern the CEO. So to what extent the incentive component in the payment structure? So basically what we're trying to do, we're trying to study an optimal compensation structure, okay, that will incentivize both the board and CEO to do their assigned tasks at the lower cost, okay? So So then finally, this question boils down to, does the benefit of us more skilled labor, okay, in gathering know-how and knowledge is outweighed by any kind of premium that is paid to them or the other way around, okay? So basically, what are the costs of implementing transparency in the governance structure? And how do they depend on skill? Oops, sorry. So now I'll be kind of going for the next 10, 15 minutes. It's a kind of a very long paper, so I will try to kind of skip the literature and try to rather give the flavor of a result. The flavor is, let me kind of just tell you, I really don't know how long I'll be able to go through very clearly. The core message is that the abler, the board of directors, they contribute to the firm's value and corporate governance because they enforce both the reputation and incentive mechanism, okay, at lower costs and help their clients truthfully disclose information, okay, that also increases the value by timely restructuring of the projects, okay. So in one word, governance, there are two main issues. Governance and the quality of expertise are positively correlated. In fact, we can go a bit more, okay, this kind of causality, like, you know, better quality leads to higher governance, okay, and vice versa. But also it's true what we'll see that its quality endogenously is scarce. It's not that means that is every firm will be able to afford high quality governance, okay? So here is the model, okay? So the model, there are two central players, okay? So I'll be, let me kind of go through this timing of the event, okay? So one is the CEO, the other is the board, okay? So the expert, actually we say call the board's expertise, okay? So at T equal to 0, initial debt, before a project starts, a firm hires, selects, or the elects a board of directors, and then offer the board of directors a compensation scheme, which will be kind of making it very clear. And then the CEO of the company, once recruited by the board, it chooses the effort, which means effort is a work, okay, that kind of makes the task of the CEO to make the project viable. So there are two things involved here. First thing is that to make the project viable, a good CEO, what do they do? Okay, they push an effort, and that effort enhances the probability of success. Okay, but before the output or cash flow is realized, but after contributing to effort by the CEO, in between, say like today in March, a CEO is hired. Suppose that this next March, outcome will be realized. And then suppose in October, after starting the project, you know, going around for a while, a state realizes. The state could be either good or it could be bad, with the probability Q, 1 minus Q. Okay? And then the expert, what does the expert board does? The expert board basically is obtains a private message. It's a noisy message. So the message means that like the expert and the, so, sorry, board of directors, they report it to the shareholders. And based on the message, the project is either liquidated or carried on. Take a simple example. Suppose that the state could be either good or bad. In the goods, let me kind of go to the next slide. It will be kind of clear. So, and then, so before I kind of change this slide, T equal to 0 is the CEO's work, which is the putting effort for making the project viable. That in between, it is the board's time. Board sees that whether the project has been actually viable or not. If it gets a signal that it has a kind of good, it is good project, viable, then it continues, okay? And then in March, it will be known whether the project is success or failure. On the other hand, if it is turns out to be bad, this board gets it and the project gets dissolved, okay, then also they're being paid accordingly at debt equal to 2. So now, uh, so, so basically, like in a very kind of simple scenario, so remember this here where the cursor is, okay, at equal to 0, CEO puts an effort, and then there is a probability Q, it will be go to the good state at t equal to 1, it will be going to the bad state, 1 minus Q. So what is the, like, what is the kind of a Q in the good state? Okay, there are 2 possibilities, okay. The expert could get inside a good signal with probability lambda, 1 minus lambda, it gets a bad signal. Or it could go to the bad state, expert could get in the bad state, good signal with probability 1 minus lambda, and the bad signal with the probability lambda, right? So which means that basically, kind of for your information, the lambda is the probability that the expert gets kind of a good or bad signal, depending on the state is good or bad. And in the bad state, it is kind of the project is liquidated, good state, it is continued. That's what is kind of going to be. But the expert is also prone to make a mistake as well. It could, what are the mistakes? It could get a bad signal, 1 minus lambda in the good state, and the good signal, 1 minus lambda in the good state, okay? So who is an expert? The expert is somebody, roughly speaking, lambda is greater than half, which means that if the state is good, it's very likely that it will be getting the good signal, project will be continued. If the state is bad, they will be getting the bad signal. Okay, so what we just do is that, like, the expert gets the signal at the cost of Bx. Okay, so the formally speaking, the experts, remember, like, what is their primary job? Is ensure transparency. What is transparency here? When it is kind of a good expert receives a high message, okay, a good message, favorable message, he says that, okay, the project should continue. If it
Excuse
is
me,
a
sir.
low
Sorry
signal,
for the interruption. Sir, you have last 5 minutes left because actually there are many other speakers to speak the next.
okay, all right, thank you. I will be kind of making this optimization problem clearer, and then I will kind of this. Okay, so this is the probability of, like, say, think about, like, what's the kind of a main point we're kind of getting across? Main point getting across is that, so what is the probability of getting high signal? The state is good, okay, probability Q, and expert gets a high signal, or 1 minus Q, the state is bad with probability 1 minus Q, but expert also gets a good signal in the high state, okay? So on the other hand, probability of a low signal, bad signal, is that in the good state Q, they get a bad signal, and in the bad state, they can get a good signal, okay? So, sorry, in bad state, they get a kind of a bad signal, okay? So, so what is the optimization problem then? The optimization problem is the following, okay? Optimization problem is that, say, the WH is the payment to the CEO if the expert board of directors says that the situation is good. We've already know that this is the expected probability of success. And then if it is success, then they will be paying both WH plus XH. XH is a payment to expert, WH is a payment to CEO. On the other hand, it can get a kind of a bad signal. So this is the probability of bad signal. We have already seen that. That would be their payment. So the firm will be choosing, I'll be just explaining what they're kind of going to do. What is the fiduciary duty here? Nothing more, just, okay, and then I'll kind of explain what I got, okay? So there'll be kind of optimal compensation structure would be payment to the CEO in good state and successful state and liquidation state, similarly to the expert. What are the constraints? First of all, that the CEO will be working harder at debt equal to zero. Okay, this is the first moral hazard constraint. Secondly, the adverse selection constraint of the expert, that debt equal to 1, if he gets a high signal, then this is the expected payoff to the expert, probability of success times what he's kind of going to be paid in the good state if the project is successful. That has to be greater than if he lies, okay? Which means he says that no, project is discontinued. Similarly, in the bad state, the expert should say that it is it is bad so that you'll be getting excel. On the other hand, bad state, if he kind of asks for the continuation, so this is his payoff. So basically kind of a communications truthfulness individually. And the second thing is that it is the same thing should be together with the CEO and expert as well. And there are other constraints as well. So what are the kind of this is a reasonably complex optimization problem. I would rather kind of try to tell you what is our kind of a thing. Okay, the main conclusion. The main conclusion is that lambda, as you can see, is the skill, right? Because greater is the lambda, then it means that this board will be knowing whether the situation is good or bad with high precision. As the lambda increases, the expected cost will be kind of declining because the payments for implementing fiduciary duties will be going down. But the major conclusion is the following, and that drives out most of the results below, that this is not a very surprising. Okay, that is as a expert skill increases, cost decreases. But what is surprising is the threshold level. So which means that if the skill is beyond a threshold level, then the expected cost declines with a jump. Okay, so which means skill matters not at an incremental level, but at a threshold level. Okay, so which means that how much time I have right now? 2 minutes. Okay. So once you get the results,
have max 2 minutes now.
Okay. We have the several results as this is coming. Okay. So the first is that basically like this threshold level. Sorry. Okay. So implication is that, as I said, that the skill level reaches a threshold, there will not be any manipulation. Okay. So why kind of that like the costs were higher? The costs were higher because in order not to collude, to say when it's good, it is good, okay? Or the other thing, to suppress the truth, they have to be paid the premium if the skill is low. So which means that the manipulations, non-transparencies and everything arise when either the CEO is unproductive or expert has a poor capability in processing information. What is the intuition? The intuition is that suppose the lambda is very low. If the lambda is very low means it is not expert, right? The expert will be making mistakes. He won't be able to differentiate from the good or bad situation. So in the bad situations, you might think it's a good situation because of the poorer skill, right? So in that case scenario, if a poorer expert or board of directors with lower lambda will advise for continuation because he will be thinking the situation is good. But if beyond a threshold level, then it means that the person knows the situation is bad. It is better to dissolve this. So we also show that once we introduce the reputation and the career concerns, okay, what is the career concerns of the board here? Because board knows if it says good and if it continues, but if it fails, then it's a information and that will hurt his reputation, right? So they will be alert before making any solution to suppress the truth or suppress the transparency. So again, the higher lambda will be kind of incentivize the firm to be transparent at a kind of a lower cost. But what is the bottom line here? Okay, the bottom line here is that suppose that this level of skill is normal distribution, right? So then it means that there will be a very few people with excellent skill, and there will be very few skill with the very, very bad skill, mostly kind of in the middle, right? Intuitively. So what's going to happen is that because the number of firms is far exceeds the number of skilled directors, then it means that it is only the firms at the top end, the higher end, will hire very skilled directors, and most of the others will hire the lowest skills. Okay, they may not go to the middle. So which means that the whole
Excuse me, sir.
economy of you are most likely to
Excuse
see.
me, sir. Your time, like it's over.
Just give me a minute. Lopsided governance, which means that basically very few firms with
Excuse
very
me, sir.
very high skilled directors, and most of the others will be on the left tail with a very poor capability of in information processing. So as a result of which, the economy as a whole will be in equilibrium, will be witnessing a very lopsided governance where skills are monopolized. Okay, so I think I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really and indeed a very informative session with you. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Proceeding to the next speaker of this keynote session, we have Professor Dr. Shankarshan Basu, who is the Dean of Amrit Modi School of Management, Ahmedabad University. He is currently on leave from the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, where he is a professor in the finance and control area. He has also a teaching and research experience of more than 30 years in the field of management and business. Over to you, sir.
So good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to this session and to this conference to deliver this keynote talk. I was a bit confused and wondering what to speak, because speaking just before lunch is a very dangerous thing. Most people, and then the line is very thin between hunger and anger. So so it's quite tough to kind of play that game out. But anyway, so I thought I'll kind of speak a little more lighter stuff than really go into too much of details of a research paper. But also, as I was advised, to talk a little bit about sustainability and include sustainability in this argument. I kind of thought that talk about something which again is becoming very, very important, because as we know today, not just insurance, but we are probably again looking at the fall of one of the mightiest financial institutions that we knew in this decade or in the last 50, 60 years. Credit Suisse, as we all know, is on the verge of kind of bankruptcy and probably extinction. We don't know what will happen, but we all know that Credit Suisse in the last 24 hours or 48 hours has really been beaten down. I mean, it's happened over the last year, but the last 24 to 48 hours have been really, really sad and bad for them. So the focus has again gone back into the finance industry, and insurance is, and that is the context in which I thought I'll talk a little bit about the insurance and the changing face of insurance industry, simply because in most cases we don't tend to give too much importance to the insurance sector, or we would not really give too much of value to the insurance sector explicitly. Though there is implicitly a very high value, but explicitly we don't seem to give too much of things. So very briefly, let me kind of very briefly highlight this is nothing but just for the benefit of everybody. What is insurance? Basically a means of transferring risk. Please remember, insurance does not reduce risk. Insurance transfers risk from one party to the other for a certain cost. And the cost is essentially the premium, against which the second party contractually agrees to indemnify the first party up to a certain limit of loss that may or may not occur. And then the idea is that we basically look at pooled risk. We kind of pool the risks together and say, okay, the likelihood and basically play on a very basic simple probability story that the joint probability is going to be less than the sum of than the individual probabilities. Product, as long as the events are independent of each other, remember the joint probability is the product of two independent or marginal probabilities, and that will actually be lower, and that is what it is kind of played on in that. So the question now, the primary question in all of that remains, how do we kind of still make these insurance companies viable or continue to remain viable and sustainable in the longer run? Because, how do we make sure that the population in question and some of the decisions that you have to take remain, remain such that the sustainability is kind of guaranteed? Because as we've seen in 2008, 2007, 8, during the last financial crisis, but particularly in the Western world, and that will obviously become more and more relevant as we speak about in countries like India, the role of insurance companies in social architecture and social benefit has increased significantly. Today, actually, interestingly, it is very, very understated, but the role of insurance, the role of the financial sector is far more important in a country like India, which, at least on paper, from a constitutional perspective, the socialist democracy is a social democracy, as opposed to a country like the United States or most parts of Europe, and particularly the United States, which is an out-and-out capitalist economy. And the reason I say this is because even in the United States, if a person doesn't have a job or things like that, the government guarantees a few things. Or we can differ on the order of importance and all of that, but the government guarantees things like health, education, accommodation or housing, food, security. All these things are kind of guaranteed by the government and in real sense. If you look at a country like India, where where so-called social democracy and the government is supposed to take care of a lot of these things, in reality, most of these things are not really available or guaranteed. Yes, on paper, we do have, for example, we have the Right to Education Act, we do have healthcare in government hospitals, we do also have now the Food Security Bill. But if you start really thinking of it, in real terms, that benefit is not really progressing down. And think of all of us who are on this call today or listening to me or listening to all the speakers here. How many of us would actually end up willingly going into a government hospital, if push comes, if we had a choice? Don't take an AIMS in Delhi to be the example. Don't take this one or two marquee government hospitals to be the example, because they are created for a different reason. But think about an average government hospital, and you can see it in very much in West Bengal, in any part of the country, which has become the problem. That because most private hospitals, and in schools also, most of these private schools are based in the state capitals. You see this huge demand from the rural parts of the state to come to the capital for basic treatment, for education, and all these kinds of things. It's not that these are not available there, but the quality becomes a challenge, and the government cannot guarantee that. So all of this means that, and then how do I justify this? I can justify, how do I take care of this? Through financing, through money. And therefore, the need to manage money in a sustainable manner becomes all that more important. And it is in that context that the insurance sector plays a very interesting role. Because after all, the insurance sector is something which is supposed to protect you for the future. And if that process is not sustainable, if that process is not kind of, value generating, you will actually end up having a problem. So one of the things that one can kind of talk about is that, therefore, understanding the underlying risk becomes a very, very key element to sustainable development. I mean, the picture out here is a very standard story. I mean, is this a development model that can be talked about? Because there's water over, and maybe there's a small sliver of land. We don't even understand is this sustainable? Because maybe the water just needs to rise by another couple of inches, and even this would kind of go away. So the whole idea is, what kind of risk are we exposed to, and what kind of risk are we exposed to, and what would that imply, is something which is very, very important to understanding sustainable development. I mean, and just to give an anecdote in that context, and then again, the current round of financial crisis, so-called within quotes, that seems to have struck us in the last week or so, started off with the failure of a relatively small, 11-sized bank, the United States, the Silicon Valley Bank, a bank for mainly VCs and startups in Silicon Valley and in LA, in California. Interestingly, they didn't have a chief risk officer since July of last year. So for the last 6 to 8 months, the bank was working without a chief risk officer. And realize, what is the role of a bank? The role of a bank is a financial intermediary. It is to take risks. If it wasn't taking risks, why is it there? And then now you do not have managing risk on a sustainable basis. What do you expect? I mean, in hindsight, it's surprising that it even took 8 months for the crisis to hit. Probably it should have hit earlier. And maybe that would have been better because the crisis may not have been that bad. But, that's the kind of argument that kind of comes in. Now, in terms specifically, if I bring it back into insurance, India and Asia basically talked about the last great frontier of insurance. Why? Because it's got a large population and the economic conditions are significantly improving and improving at a much faster rate as anywhere else in the world. Simply because, and that's nothing to do with anything else, it's simply because we were so low down the curve that any movement is a much faster movement. Most of the other parts of the world were significantly higher up, the developed world was significantly higher up the curve. So while improvements are happening out there, the improvements are only incremental. So for example, in the US, people can think of having 2 cars and let's say, let's buy a 3rd car for convenience. Here, people are moving to the first vehicle per se. It could be a 2-wheeler, it could be a 4-wheeler. And that is a much larger utility benefit than from 2 to 3 cars and things like that. So therefore, that's something which is evident in Asia. Africa is an interesting combination because you can ask why talk about Asia and not Africa. Parts of Africa are developed and therefore they are much ahead of the curve, like the Western world. The central parts are way below the curve even to us. Sub-Saharan Africa, parts of Sub-Saharan Africa are way below and they still have to kind of move up to that. And if you look at the industry scenario, I've given something. So basically India, this is a percentage spend of the GDP. So if you look at mature economies and realize the size of the economies are quite large, even within Asia. 5% of the GDP is kind of